down on the front row. And of course, they got a little section on the front row reserved for us. And there's a guy sitting behind me. And so they do a couple of worship songs. While they're doing that, he leans in to my ear and starts telling me who he is. Turns out he's our cousin.
Really?
From Vivian, yeah. Huh. Now, I never met him. He's a Robertson. And first, I'm like, okay, yeah, you're my cousin. So, but he knows all the right people, all our cousins. And so at the end of the thing, he tells me, he said, what do you think? Because when I got up, I said, well, I wasn't sure. I came for a lot of reasons today. Apparently, one of my reasons was to meet my cousin. Yeah. I said, here's my cousin right here. And he's waving at everybody, and they're all cheering, And so I was whisked away yesterday. I preached, and I literally walked off stage, walked outside, got in a car, and took off and went to prison.
You wound up in prison.
I wound up in prison.
They finally got you.
They got me. They caught me.
All right, what did you do?
I had to share the Lord, Jace. So they've been after me for a while, and ever since Dad crossed over, I don't like tight spaces. I'm very claustrophobic, so yeah. I'm not crazy about going into confined spaces, but I feel like led that I have to, because Dad used to go a lot and speak in prison, and so I feel like I need to go because they asked me. So,
well, for our longtime listeners, that was a joke because I have said this many times. I spent 2 years in prison. I say that all the time. People are like, what were you in for? I was like, I went in voluntarily. Share Jesus.
I turned myself in yesterday.
Yeah. Well, it's like I just got asked to share on a weekly basis. So once a week I would go in there. But I was so like you because I thought the first day I went in, it's very, I know you've seen TV shows and movies and watched Dateline, whatever.
They don't open a door until they close a door.
You're waiting, and that door, when it smashes, it makes you jump. But after about the third door I went through, not door, just, well, I looked around for the guards, and they didn't come through the door with me.
Gone.
They're like, you're on your own. Good luck, buddy. And that was quite nerve-wracking.
So it was great because as we both joked when we came in, it was a captive audience. But so there's half the prisoners, 1,200 men in this facility. First of all, to show you how my mind was not working yesterday, I thought I was going to a women's prison in Tallulah. So we get in the car and I'm like, so I just go to Tallulah, right? And they're like, no, we're going to the men's prison in Homer. The opposite direction. This is how off I was yesterday. So it's been a long weekend. So we go there. There's 1,200 men here. The warden was telling me this. So, but only half are able to come to what we were doing yesterday. So half are in confinement for different reasons. They can't come out of the block. So only 600 people could come, and almost 400. That's all that would fit in the room came. So they were very excited to be there. We were late by their standard. They had already been in there a while, and they were doing some music. And then we walk in, they all started cheering Jersey Joe, and then I had the McLemore sisters, because they're the ones that do the whole thing. And so we go in there. They're super excited about us being there. So I sit down on the front row. And of course, they got a little section on the front row reserved for us. And there's a guy sitting behind me. And so they do a couple of worship songs. While they're doing that, he leans in to my ear and starts telling me who he is. Turns out he's our cousin.
Really?
From Vivian, yeah. Huh. Now, I never met him. He's a Robertson. And first, I'm like, okay, yeah, you're my cousin. So, but he knows all the right people, all our cousins. And so at the end of the thing, he tells me, he said, what do you think? Because when I got up, I said, well, I wasn't sure. I came for a lot of reasons today. Apparently, one of my reasons was to meet my cousin. Yeah. I said, here's my cousin right here. And he's waving at everybody, and they're all cheering, And he said, what are the odds that I would be sitting on the row right behind you and you're in here? I said, well, the odds of you sitting right behind me were pretty high because you knew this is where I was going to sit. and you wanted to meet me. And he grinned like, yeah, okay, you got me there. I said, but now the odds of me being here today and meeting you are very low. So that was great. So we had a whole conversation. I shook his hand. You can't take a picture because there's no phones. You can't take a phone. So 2 or 3 times I was like, let's get a picture.
It's not funny. I
was thinking, that's the way it is. But
so you shared Jesus, I guess.
Yeah. So Joe got up first. Joe didn't understand. We were riding over there, and Joe said, well, you go first and I'll go second. I said, Joe, that's not how this works, son. Yeah. I said, this is called headliner and then setup guy. I said, you're the setup guy today. So
and he's from New Jersey, so
well, right. I was like,
shock.
I'm not trying to be like. I said, I'm saying this as humbly as possible, but you're going to go first, and you're only going to go 20 minutes. So he looks down at me, and he's going. He's been going 20 minutes, and he's doing great, but he's going 20 minutes. So and I can tell the warden, they're getting a little antsy because they promoted me to come. And so he said, "There's no clock." He said, "Can you give me a sign?" And I went like this. What would you think if you were listening? I'm holding up the peace sign, but also 2, which means 2 minutes. You got 2 minutes to wrap it up. Well, he goes 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
And he looks down there finally, and I'm like, I'm giving him the cut sign. He said, okay. Yeah. And then afterwards, we're riding home, and I was like, he said, y'all have any constructive criticism? And I said, well, one is when I give you the 2 sign,
don't go 10.
Don't go 10. That's not times 5. And he said, well, I didn't know what you meant. I thought you meant you'd give me another signal in 2 minutes when it was time for me to stop. I was like, no, what is
that's called collective seeing. It's just
come on, Joe. What that meant. Oh, here's Zach. Zach's arrived. Welcome, Zach, to Unashamed Podcast. We're so glad you could join us today.
Well, I had to go home and get something. And I walked to work this morning, so I ran down to the house, put on this shirt, ran back. But I caught the tail end of that, and yes, 2 means 2 minutes. There's no question.
Zach, if you're walking to work
and you're 10 minutes late, so that works out perfect.
You might ought to reassess how your life is going if you're walking.
And let me just tell you something, Jace. When he says this, because I've made that little jaunt, it's straight down a hill. It's great walking down to the studio, but that walk back is straight up a hill. And I'm talking about a tall hill.
The walk to the house is it'll get the calories burning. The walk down is enjoyable. Walk back down here, but I'm back, and I missed the opening. I caught the tail end of the 2.
I went to prison, Zach. I went to prison yesterday with Jersey Joe, and we spoke there. Turned out great. Shared the gospel. And just really kind of encourage them. A lot of these guys are already believers. Obviously, they're there in a church setting, but they were very attentive. They're very engaging. It was like a room full of Kurt Lively's, Jace. I mean, they were.
Yeah. Which prison did you go to?
We went to Wade, which is over in Homer.
Okay.
Which is the only prison. I didn't realize this. It's the only state prison in North Louisiana. So they're very full, apparently, because there's a few around the state, and then there's some private. Yeah. In Louisiana, we have some private prisons that actually one of our buddies owns, but they don't have any other state prisons. So, but there's a woman warden that's there, and it's really interesting. She started in Angola as a counselor and a social worker. And she's worked her way up through the years, and now she's the warden over there at Way. But she reminded me of Katie, our friend Katie. She's like 4'11", blonde hair, but full of fire. And it's like if anybody's going to run the prison, it's going to be her. But she was fantastic, very committed Christian. The good thing about Louisiana, same with Angola, is they're very open to people like us coming in and sharing. And it's done a lot of good with the populace. I mean, it's a way to try to get people, obviously, out of not only just out of crime situations, but off of drugs, off of alcohol, better situations. After we spoke to the large group, about 30 men stayed behind because they were getting the opportunity. And again, this is all merit-based, so if you behave yourself in there, you get these opportunities to do things. And so Mindy and Jerry Ann, I was talking about earlier, the 2 ladies that run this prison ministry, which is amazing what they're doing all around the state. But they're doing a thing with next week for a Father's Day deal. So these 30 men had been in a position where they earned the right to have a Father's Day thing next Sunday with their kids at the prison. And so we had a little talk with them about fatherhood, and I just talked about that in particular, kind of just off the top of my head. And then the girls shared with them because their dad has been in prison for 30 years. You know, and Mindy's been on the podcast before, if you remember her story. But they told about what it means to get to visit your dad in prison. So it was just very helpful, and they were just attentive because, you know, they're nervous. Some of them hadn't seen their kid in years.
Yeah.
And so it was a great moment. So it was a great experience. I was glad to get the opportunity to do it.